From Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. It's Tuesday, October 15th. Coming up, programs that provide drought relief to farmers use the U.S. Drought Monitor to determine eligibility. But some experts say it doesn't always capture local conditions. That story in just a few minutes, but first, these headlines. The American Red Cross says hundreds of blood drives were canceled in recent weeks due to hurricanes that swept through the southeast. That has made it even more important for residents elsewhere to donate. IPM student reporter Alyssa Eaton has more on donation opportunities in central Illinois.
At a recent drive hosted by the 707 apartment complex in Champaign, about a dozen students lined up, including University of Illinois junior Lolly Rico, who donated blood for the first time.
I've been seeing a lot of social media posts about the hurricane that's coming and that there's a blood shortage right now, so I wanted to do my part and help.
The Red Cross will continue to host blood drives in the coming weeks, including several on the U of I campus. For locations and dates, visit ipmnewsroom.org. I'm Alyssa Eaton, IPM News.
A display outside of the Illini Union on U of I's Urbana campus on Monday featured artwork calling for awareness of Israeli hostages kidnapped by Hamas last year. IPM student reporter Adeline Moy has more on the initiative of the nonprofit Israeli American Council.
The exhibit was first shown at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago earlier this year. Since then, it has traveled to college campuses across the country. It aims to bring awareness to the hostages still in Gaza and to commemorate those who died. Rabbi David Teichtel, who leads the Chabad Jewish Center for Campus Living, says that this display is not about politics.
It's not about what side people feel on. It's simply about the human toll it's taking. What's political about hostages? What's political about a 1-year-old Kriya Bibas being kidnapped for just being a Jewish kid in Israel? It doesn't make sense.
Teichtel says one goal of Chabad is to continue to educate people on this situation and to spread light and positivity. I'm Adeline Moy, IPM News.
Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton says she wants to keep communication open with Lincoln area residents who are upset about plans to close the Logan Correctional Center. Stratton chairs the governor's Rural Affairs Council.
We want to listen to the concerns of residents in every corner of our state. We want to make sure that we're hearing them and working together on solutions. So I think that's the way the best policy is made.
The governor has said building a new prison closer to Chicago will support more inmate families. Stratton toured central and southern Illinois last week and gave the keynote speech at the McLean County Democrats' Obama Legacy Dinner. A researcher at the University of Chicago has been awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics, the 34th received by a faculty member at the school. Lisa Kurian-Phillip reports.
James Robinson won the recognition along with two colleagues for research comparing the wealth of former European colonies. They found freer societies are more likely to prosper. Robinson told an audience at UChicago today he was in disbelief at the news.
I was sleeping with my phone off, so my wife woke me up and said, "You have to get up. You have to get up." I said, "What for?" She said, "You've won the Nobel Prize." I thought she was kidding.
Robinson said he plans to celebrate with a group of his former students. I'm Lisa Kurian-Phillip.
Still to come, programs that provide drought relief to farmers use the U.S. Drought Monitor to determine eligibility, but some experts say it doesn't always capture local conditions. That story is coming up next on 217 Today, but first, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your forecast.
I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your IPM News forecast for Champaign-Urbana. Today, look for partly cloudy skies with a slight chance of a rain shower and a high of 55 degrees, a north wind 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting to 25 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies with frost likely and a low of 32 degrees, a northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 58 degrees, a northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clear skies with frost likely and a low of 33 degrees, a south wind 5 miles per hour, and for Thursday, sunny with a high of 65 degrees and a south wind 5 to 10 miles per hour.
Next time on the 21st show, voters in 7 Illinois counties are being asked whether they'd like to see most of Illinois become its own state, separate from Chicago and Cook County. We'll talk about the arguments for and against the idea and look at the long history and politics of secessionist movements here. I'm Brian Mackey, and that's next time on The 21st Show. Join us.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. Flashes of drought hit the Midwest over the last month. Even short periods of drought can raise costs for livestock farmers. There is federal help for them. But as KBIA's Harshawn Rattenpaul reports, if severe drought doesn't stick around long enough on the official federal drought monitor map, livestock farmers may be left out to dry.
In Drexel, Missouri, right along the border with Kansas, Warburn Harris is driving around his fields and checking on his cattle. Ever since he was a kid, he's loved raising them.
Just taking care of them and being around them, and they're happy if you keep them fed.
But recently, it's been harder to feed them. While he saw hardly any drought in the spring and summer,
and in August, it quit raining, and everything's burnt up. I'm actually feeding now because they're not growing, doing like they should.
It's nothing new. Last year, the drought was so bad, Harris received money from the U.S. Department of Agriculture through the Livestock Forage Disaster Program, or the LFP. The money helped him pay for hay to feed his animals as his pasture depleted, and for water as his ponds dried up. Without that money, he says he would have had to sell a lot of his cows, and he's only got 70. But this year, funding isn't guaranteed. The LFP and other programs like it use the U.S. Drought Monitor to figure out who's eligible for relief. The Drought Monitor scientists collect data about precipitation, soil moisture, and water levels, and quantify drought across the country on a scale. Funding eligibility kicks in if a county experiences any extreme drought on that scale, or 8 consecutive weeks of severe drought. Missouri state climatologist Zach Leeser thinks the way federal programs use the drought monitor is flawed.
You can think of hypothetical situations where this could go wrong. 7 weeks of no rain is going to completely deplete your pasture, but let's say a tropical system comes in week 8, dumps a bunch of rainfall. Does that mean that, you still didn't have 7 weeks of no grazing and having to purchase hay?
Harris says his farm experienced drought for about a month, but severe drought registered for his county on the drought monitor for just a week. Then rain came. The drought monitor has been around since 1999, but it was mostly used just to understand drought in the country. When Congress introduced the Livestock Forage Disaster Program into the 2008 Farm Bill, it didn't ask the experts running the drought monitor how it should be used. Brian Fuchs, one of the drought monitor's authors, says that lack of coordination was actually for the best.
That's fine with us because there's a good separation between policy and science. And in this case, the science was done before the policy.
But the science has limits when it comes to seeing what's on the ground. Remember how Harris said he experienced drought for long before it showed up on the drought monitor? Some experts say farmers can do more to ensure drought monitor authors know the impact that drought has on their farms. One way to do that is through the Condition Monitoring Observer Reports, or CMOR system. CMOR is a collection of on-the-ground observations that can add to the scientific data. Reagan Bluell is a field specialist with University of Missouri Extension. She works with farmers and urges them to send in observations to CMOR even when there isn't drought, in order to establish a baseline for conditions on their land.
I'm way down here in southwest Missouri where we got a lot of flip phone farmers, and I've seen a huge response to the small minority of them that are using smartphones down here. They're submitting their drought conditions, and you can see the response on the map much faster than we used to.
Back in Drexel, Wilburn Harris calls his wife on his flip phone and tells her he'll be home soon. He hadn't heard about the CMOR program, but he's intrigued by it and is optimistic it might help the monitor paint a more accurate picture of what he sees on the farm. For now, Harris will weather this drought, relief or not. But after that,
trying to adapt to the unknown is getting to be a challenge for me.
And many other farmers dealing with short-term drought are in the same boat. I'm Harshawn Rattenpaul in Columbia, Missouri.
This story is a product of the Mississippi River Basin Ag and Water Desk and is being distributed by Harvest Public Media. Harvest Public Media is a collaboration of public media newsrooms in the Midwest and Great Plains. That's it for today. 217 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Alyssa Eaton, Adeline Moy, Lisa Kurian-Phillip, Eric Stock, and Harshawn Rattenpaul. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Kimberly Schofield. 217 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.